Morning fire lit, eh? There's no pleasing some people. Oh, Lord. It's back to Northumbrian weather. Light drizzle and much cooler. Right then, now, where are all the Christians? Well, it beats me. They must be out there somewhere. I've been at this for all my adult life, pretty much. I'm 65 years old now. Rapidly approaching 66. Well, time's a funny thing. Sometimes it seems to fly by, and sometimes you think, ooh. And then sometimes you look back and you think, where did that year go to? Or week or month or day or whatever it might be. Funny old thing, time, one's personal perspective on time, etc. Anyway, that's not the point of this. Now, for a start, yes, okay, it's down to me. I exclude now attending any of the big organised churches. So for me, my background was the Church of England, particularly the Cathedral and Abbey Church of St Albans, where I spent an awful lot of time back in the mid-90s, looking long and hard at becoming a minister, a priest within the Church of England. I rejected that. The Queen is the supreme governor of the Church of England, but she is the head of the army, and as far as I'm concerned, once finally I saw that, and it did take me quite a while, quite frankly. I was into my mid-40s. No, I was 40. I was born in 56, so about 95, 96, sorry, I was more 40 years old, 41. When the penny finally dropped that to join that organisation, yes, they say the words, yes, etc., the hymns are beautiful, and of course the fellowship, but I then become part of their falsehood, so I've rejected them, right? Well, then the biggest organised church of Christian, purportedly Christian church of mankind, of course, is the Roman Catholics, are the Roman Catholics. Well, the church is, isn't it? Anyway, be that as may, and I've avoided becoming a Benedictine monk, in fact, so I could have been in a Benedictine order in a monastery somewhere or whatever, and I'm not that. So those are two bodies. I mean, obviously the Roman Catholics are by far the largest, 1,000 million practicing Roman Catholics. So if I speak to someone, I am a Christian, oh, they say I'm a Roman Catholic, they make a point of that. I'm not merely a Christian, I am a Roman Catholic, brackets, Christian. Well, there are very strong reasons I've made my decision not to join them, which I'm not going to go into at length here. So I reject them too. Well, so, but that is to remain true to myself. To thine own self be true, as in something Shakespeare said, I believe, in one of the plays. I mean, essentially, by rejecting those, particularly those two, but I've been into Baptist church, and I lived as a caretaker at a Methodist Central Hall for over a year and a half, and attended their services and so on. But nothing ever came of it. I'm never going to be a Methodist. Charles and John Wesley, of course, were the founding fathers. I particularly like Quaker worship, so I've sat in on Quaker meetings in various places over the years. The worship is complete silence. There's no set format. You just come and sit in silence, and if you're moved by the Holy Spirit to speak, and anyone can speak, which is one of the things I particularly like about Quaker worship. First of all, the silence. So there's no set liturgy. You don't go through A, B, C, D, right, we put God in his box on Sunday and go off and behave badly. Quaker people tend to be genuine and especially also very much non-violent. Absolutely against all forms of violence, which again is something I entirely agree with. So I used to look out Quaker meetings wherever I was in the world, for instance. Well, I won't now anymore. I'm not a Quaker. I actually have my own meeting upstairs on a Sunday from 11 to 12. No one's ever attended one. I've been here for a year. Well, I haven't actually been here because there was a reason. I was away for 8 months. But anyway, without going into that, I'm here now. Well, there are people around me, obviously. I potter about in my Christian tunic, and yes, I mean, I recognize that I must look like some people get it, but people must be aware, local people, that there's a, well, I don't know what I think of myself more as a pilgrim rather than a monk, but they must be aware of that fellow if I'm out and about, which I am. I've had a few visitors here, that one in particular came in and he just eventually, we were chatting really in a pleasant manner. Last year this was, I think he'd married a Chinese lady, local chap though, sort of, yeah. He was Scottish, head of his clan or something. He's young, only in his 30s. We have clan chiefs in Scotland. And at one, we me being me, moved into, Christianity. Oh, he says it's a load of hooey. I just told him to leave the house. I said, if that's your considered opinion, sir, I'm afraid we have nothing in common. Bye-bye, go away. So I suppose in that sense I'm not helping, but I don't want, how absurd. I am a Christian. I don't want to have people around who saying it's a load of hooey. I'm afraid there was my neighbour down south in Harpenden, he's a tough old Londoner, rough diamond. Well, we got on quite well. I'm quite good with those sort of types. You what, mate? Yeah, would you? Yeah. But he then, he said he was a Christian when we first met, and he loves Willie Nelson, actually. And Willie Nelson, the singer, American sort of country rock folk type singer, does sing Christian songs. And yet this fellow, my neighbour from Harpenden, after we'd known each other for over a year, he was concerned about me. The 8 months I was living out again in the porch of the Baptist church down south. St Albans, because the local old Bill are a bunch of basically. Anyway, I'm not going into that further. So he used to text me, but we got onto this Christianity, and he said, why don't you join the real world, his world, because your Christianity is a bullshit. Well, that was the end of that then. I mean, I text back saying, I'm sorry, chap, you're the lost soul. Blessedly, I am a Christian. And that was the end of that. Steve was his name. I don't know. The young lass who's been very helpful, she's married, but anyway, the truckle bed I sleep on in here was provided by her, and that little gas affair. I was living out, and that was actually a birthday present, so I could get hot drinks and food, which was very sweet of her. It's jolly expensive, actually. The little gas burner thing they're about £60. They don't have a lot of money, so it was a really, thoughtful, practical present. And we're still in touch. But she's a sort of pagan, or she believes in Odin, I think. Norse god, isn't it? Odin. So I meet people all the time, but here I am, sort of walking my Christian path, but essentially completely alone. Well, all right, so be it. Yes, obviously it's in part because I've made my choices, but this is my life. I belong to God. I seek to put my hand into God's hand. To seek and find, my daily prayer is to seek and find God's will for me, to feel His peace in my soul, that I'm being and doing His will. Amen. Well, I just am constitutionally incapable of doing or being something I am not. I've always been this way. My parents, my mother especially, wanted the doctor. My brother was going to be an airline pilot. He's 3.5 years older. He is now the doctor. He's in Harley Street, London. He's a big private medical. He's got a good practice, etc. Sports injuries consultant, well renowned, etc. Must be getting on. He must be March the 23rd, his birthday. So I'll be 66, he'll be 70, I think. Is that right? Next year, yes. Born in 53, yes. Old. We're getting old. So mother got her doctor, and I was lined up, and I was the bright one, as it were. Bristol University, one of Britain's top universities, etc., for medicine. And I chose to stop. So again, I rejected the sort of conventional path for anyone to be, and I would have been a senior medical figure, no doubt, if I'd got on that career path. So yes, okay, fine, I accept that I've rejected the world and its ways. Well, fine. I'd rather be myself, to thine own self be true, than having betrayed myself to conform to convention. Okay, so then it's all my fault. Ha! But I'm still here. I want to be able to fill. There was that American evangelist, Billy Graham, and particularly I know that there's a video of him at the Kop, which is the big football stadium in Liverpool, filled with people, 100,000 people or something, I don't know, whatever it was, there because of Billy Graham but their faith. They would have known they were going to see a man of faith, a Christian faith, for heaven's sake. and experience being there, obviously. Well, I believe I can do that too, quite frankly. In spades. There's something called Circo Massimo in Rome, and it's the same physical place. It's huge, and they've kept it that way. They had real chariot racing there back in the day in Roman times. It's just by the river Tiber, Tevere in Italian. I lived there. I lived under the arch of Ponte Palatino for 6 months. Nice address, number 1 Ponte Palatino, Francis, Italy. I never actually got a letter there, but never mind. A pop concert, and they had in the order of 1 million people. So Rome has the capacity to cater for that number of people, enough loose. Feed them, and the old carabinieri, keep trouble at bay if it were to occur, etc. So actually the thought was that perhaps one day I'd fill that place, right? If a pop concert can do it. I mean, if only, this has been a long thought within me, if only people loved God with the same passion they put into their sport. If you watch a game of football or rugby or cricket, tends to be a bit more reserved, subdued. But the passion people put into their sport, for heaven's sake, well, how much more passion to put into loving God? I have been to particularly black evangelical, sort of Pentecostal church services, and they are passionate. Loud, too loud for me. Absolutely whooping it up with whatever, playing drums or singing or clapping or just hollering, really, to the Lord, praising the Lord. I've tried that too, as it were, out in Africa. Magnificat anima mea dominus. Give my spirit some woof. That handy translation. Cheerio. Where are all the Christians?